There was a vicious scandal that shocked Indonesia earlier this year. Gambling potions failed by state-owned companies, massive mismanagement, and estimated state losses of tens of trillions of rupiah. Obviously, we are talking about PT Asuransi Jiwasraya's scandal. PT Asuransi Jiwasraya, the only state-owned enterprise that operates as an insurance company and is currently the largest local life insurance company in Indonesia, was established in 1859. Initially, the company was owned by the Dutch when the company was first established. After several years passed by, the firm was acquired by the Indonesian government. However, there was a suspicion built up when Jiwasraya published the GS Saving Plan in 2012. GS Saving Plan was a life insurance product as well as investment that offers 9 to 13% interest. It was well above the average bank deposit interest rate at 5 to 7% at that time. Sounds tempting, right? You are not alone. GS Saving Plan will be the savior angel of Jiwasraya. And then, what happened to the Indonesia's insurance market? While the biggest local insurance company issued a product with a return that is much higher than the average bank deposit interest rate? Well, in October 2018, it was what had been feared. Jiwasraya failed to pay its insurance policy for GS Saving Plan amounting to 802 billion rupiah. The company is damaged. Jiwasraya listed itself as the company with the biggest default failure in Indonesian history. The debt is 49.6 trillion rupiah, but its assets are only 25.6 trillion rupiah. Jiwasraya also recorded a loss of 13.74 trillion rupiah as of September 2019. How could this happen? Don't they have the GS Saving Plan product which looked like a huge success? And didn't they get a letter from the OJK twice stating that they had enough premium reserves for the disbursements of the policy? Well, there's a scandal that lies in this case. How much fraud costs? When the Attorney General's office took over the handling of the Jiwasraya case, they found indications of corruption committed by 13 investment managers and the capital market mafia. It is estimated that based on the initial audit results by the BPK, the state loss reached 13.74 trillion rupiah. It is estimated that Jiwasraya needed an injection of 32.8 trillion rupiah to get back healthy. So why did Jiwasraya finally collapse? Actually, what's the problem? On January 8, 2020, the BPK held a press conference at the BPK-RI office to deliver preliminary findings. In the conference, many appalling details were opened to the public. First, Jiwasraya spread the promise of heaven to the policyholders. GS Saving Plan promises fixed rewards to the policyholders, but customer funds are invested in financial instruments that do not guarantee fixed profits. Finally, when Bill disperses the policy, the money is not necessarily available because at any time Jiwasraya's investment can suffer losses.
Why was the GS Saving Plan an issue? Initially, GS Saving Plan was intended to cover up the loss that Jiwasraya had suffered long ago. The product was introduced in 2012, but before that, there had been several indications that their financial conditions were already suspected to be bad. Since 2006, the Financial Supervisory Agency or PPK has detected oddities in the management of Jiwasraya. In its books, The BUMN's insurance company registered a profit, but an investigation from BPK revealed that Jiwasraya had manipulated the report. They actually suffered losses. In 2006, their equity was negative for 3.29 trillion rupiah. In other words, minus. Every means is taken in order to save Jiwasraya. In July 2008, the Minister of State-Owned Enterprise, Sofyan Jalil, requested financial assistance from the Minister of Finance, Sri Mulyani, but the request for the assistance, which was so-called Request for National Capital Participation or PMN, was rejected because it had not been audited by the public accounting firm. Suspicion mounted when a series of audits revealed that there were many peculiarities or anomalies in Jiwasraya's finance. The company is on the verge of collapse. In the late of 2008, their equity was negative of 5.7 trillion rupiah. From here, the story gets more complicated. However, after the JS Saving Plan product was released, under the supervision of the Financial Service Authority (OJK), and later in 2015, the product itself earned 5.15 trillion rupiah or 50.3% of the total premium. In 2016, it increased to 69.5% of total premiums, and in 2017, it increased again to 75.3% from the total of Jiwasraya's premiums. So, is everything alright with Jiwasraya? Oh, definitely not. JS Saving Plan ignited a series of suspicious practices that have now overthrown Jiwasraya. In March 2016, the signs had become clear. BPK gave a warning letter of failure to Jiwasraya of paying for the purchase of medium-term debt securities owned by PT Hanson International Tbk, whose shares are controlled by one of their own investment manager, Beni Chokro. Debt securities bought by Jiwasraya were a total of 680 billion rupiah, even though in January 2018, the Insurance Supervision OJK, Ahmad Nasrullah, issued a letter of endorsement of the 2016 premium reserve of 10.9 trillion rupiah. A few months later, OJK issued a similar letter for the 2017 premium reserves. The letter indicates that a company had sufficient money reserved to someday disperse its policy premiums. How did they cover this situation? Well, the stock price entitled for JS Saving Plan allegedly doesn't match with the fair value. That can also be stated as mispricing. Even more, there is a huge chance that this is an act of fraud. This conjecture is reinforced with the result of an investigation that concluded that there was a fraud in the management of saving plans and investments. In the marketing of JS Saving Plan, it is suspected that there was a conflict of interest because there were internal parties in Jiwasraya who received an abundance of funds from the sale of the product. Jiwasraya suspected of investing in file-tail stocks. One of the investments is in the stock of Arowana Fish of worth 6 trillion rupiah. The sale and purchase of shares is indicated to be carried out by parties affiliated with the Jiwasraya directors, and there is a price engineering practice. So the buying and selling price does not reflect the actual price. The act of buying and selling is also done in the near future to avoid the listing of shares. Simply put, it is suspected that there were certain parties who conspired to call Jiwasraya's funds. To cover up the scandal, Jiwasraya was accused of the window dressing practice or by injuring its reports, or as if the rogue investment manager has good performance, and then it made the Jiwasraya's finance look fine. Who are the individuals involved in the scandal, and what are their roles? First, Beni Chokro, investment manager of PT Asuransi Jiwasraya, as well as the chairman of PT Hansor International. The second, Heri Hidayat, who is the investment manager of PT Asuransi Jiwasraya and as well as the president commissioner of PT Trada Alam Mineral. The third, Hari Prasetyo, as the ex-chief financial officer of PT Asuransi Jiwasraya. The fourth, Henrisman Rahim, as the ex-chief executive officer of PT Asuransi Jiwasraya. And last, Syah Mirwan, as the chief of investment division of PT Asuransi Jiwasraya.
What are the affected regulation and laws? This scandal affected some regulation and laws in Indonesia, especially related to insurance business regulation. Several of those laws are as follows. The first law is the Law of the Republic of Indonesia number 40 year 2014 regarding the insurance. This law regulates the operation of insurance company in Indonesia, such as the establishment, corporate governance, mandatory insurance program, liquidation, and many more. In this case, there are many aspects that Jiwasraya violated in the law, especially regulations that are related to corporate governance. For instance, below are some of the laws that Jiwasraya violated. Chapter 5 related to business operation, Article 11, Paragraph 1 and 2. In this section, it stated that insurance company in Indonesia must adhere and implement good corporate governance, which is further discussed in OJK's regulation. We could simply understand from the case that Jiwasraya did not have a good corporate governance. Surely, if they had one, this scandal could be avoided or even not existed in the first place. Next is Chapter 16, Criminal Provisions, paragraph 74 to 78. This section discusses the criminal provision related to any violation of the state rules. Because of Jiwasraya have not adhered to some of the laws, they will be penalized according to the rules in this paragraph. They also violate Chapter 11, Article 53, paragraph 4. This part talks about the protection of insurance policyholders. This part mainly related to the government's duty, especially for OJK. Also, it stated that policy guarantee programs will be established of the maximum of 3 years after the issuance of the law. Unfortunately, until today, there is not even a single one that is established from the government. Other regulation that they violate is the Regulation of Financial Service Authority number 73 year 2016 about good corporate governance for insurance company. In this regulation, it is discussed more deeply about the insurance company laws, specifically about good corporate governance. There are numerous other regulations, but we highlight this one because the scandal in our perspective related strongly to this particular law, which Jiwasraya have violated, of course. We divide what we can learn from this evil, scandalous event to three different parts. The first part is from the investor perspective, regulator's perspective, and insurance company perspective. From the investor perspective, for everyone who is interested to purchase insurance, it is very essential for each individual to understand and examine the company that he had or she had interested in. In Jiwasraya case, we know that they offered an insurance product plus additional investment with a very high rate return. On top of that, with a fixed return. Despite it might be very tempting, people should be aware of the unusual rate of return. People could ask questions such as, is it normal for a company to offer a very high return? Is currently the company in good condition? Has the firm ever been caught in a trouble or problem before? People could find the answers of this question by seeking various information about the business like the annual reports, news, etc. If something appears or seems to be wrong, people should then avoid purchasing the insurance offered. Now from the regulator's perspective or from the government. It is noteworthy that the regulators, in this case the government, OJK, should be more aware of such problem and take decisive action. So the issue here is that they did not take further action, and even worse, they were neglectful. And this is specifically addressed to OJK. They are the ones that have the authority to maintain and monitor the activities of various industry in Indonesia. But because this scandal has already occurred, then their efforts are indeed questionable. Why could this scandal happen in the first place? Even the loss caused by the event is considered the biggest one in Indonesia right now. No wonder. Currently, the community question their works and activities. Last but not least, from the insurance company perspective. For every insurance company, they should conduct and manage their businesses operation adequately and in compliance with the standard available. Besides, the need of good supervision from the regulators, each firm must also realize that the importance of maintaining good business activities are essential, not just for them, but also the environment and social aspect around them. A lesson learned from this case is that an insurance company should invest their revenue from their insurance product in shares that are rated good Or they could put the money in bonds which are rather more steady. They shouldn't invest in volatile shares or saham gorengan that contain very high risk of return. I hope that we, as a student, can learn something from this so we can prevent something like this to happen ever again in the future. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.